It's comical. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Axie Tuesdays. We are here with the special, mysterious guest, as you can tell from the icon, Mr. 1 Million. This is Maxbrand. He's known for a lot of things. He's a data fiend. He likes to organize, catalog, fish. You know, you ever see that show Rocket Power? Is this another reference before your time? I'm going to show my age. You ever remember that show on Nickelodeon?
I think it. No, I honestly don't even remember watching Nickelodeon.
Wow, man. I don't. Were you ever a kid? Did you ever experience youth? Did you ever just watch television and turn off your brain?
Occasionally, yeah, but it was mostly Disney Channel.
Disney. Okay. Well, see,
Ugh, but
I liked to mix and match. A little Nickelodeon, little Disney. You know, little MTV. You got to get a little bit of everything. Rocket Power. It was a cartoon where, like, I think it was California, and all the kids were surfer, skateboarder, like cool kids. But there was this one really nerdy kid, and then there was the ultra nerdy kid, and he was always sitting inside. And I remember the project that he was working on was he was cataloging all of the crustaceans and marine life animals in California while all the other kids were outside surfing and enjoying the sunshine. You remind me of the kid that's cataloging the crustaceans.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, except I guess they're Axies. So how are you, bud? How you doing? You and I have chatted a fair bit off stream. I know that you're not a huge content creator in terms of the spoken word, so I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit. I'm excited to peer pressure you into some fun anecdotal storytelling. I put on the boobs just for you today, so you know I thought that might make you feel more comfortable.
I'm happy to be here.
Great. So what have you been up to recently? What have you been working on? What's the latest in the Maxbrand world?
In the Maxbrand world, I moved yesterday.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting.
I bought a condo, and so I'm living on my own finally.
Dude, you and I, look at that. I just got my own solo apartment. I didn't buy, I'm still renting because, you know, I'm the nomadic sort. But yeah, first timer over here as well. I'm 31, and this is the first time I've ever actually lived without roommates. So I'm also in I have a moving truck coming tomorrow to move the mattress and the bagans. So congratulations, bud. We both have our own lairs now. So world, look out.
Yes, indeed. It's quite nice. It's just me and the dog.
And yeah, oh, the dog. Okay, yeah. And look, you didn't even have to sell your Mystic to get it, huh? That's the most exciting
That
part.
one's never for sale, but
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
I always say the same thing, but when I say never for sale, it could be for sale for something like really, really iconic. You know, if I sold it for like 400 ETH at some point in the future when ETH's worth like, you know, a 10 grand a pop or something, and if we use that to found like one of the first Axie towns or something, I don't know. I mean, I could maybe see a world where I sell it for a purpose and it's like super iconic. But even then, I feel like I would shard it or do something else that's like still, how do you say, gives me like a little stake of ownership rather than just like dumping it on the market. It does seem unlikely that I would ever do that, because if we're living in that world, right, where ETH is 10,000 a pop and Mystics are selling for 400 ETH, then I'm pretty sure I can get somebody to fund my little Axie town, and I don't need to sell my Mystic to do it. You know, like to get to that point, the relative reality has got to be pretty fucking crazy too.
I agree, but no, mine was a gift from someone, and the one condition was that I never, ever, ever sell it.
Oh,
And so I will hold it till the end of the world.
so yours was a straight up gift? Like when you say gift,
Straight
like,
up gift.
whoa. All right. So unpack that a little bit. I don't know how anonymous this is, or if this is like some private story, but how?
It was just as a thank you for everything I've done for the Axie community, someone decided to give it to me.
So what is the short list of the max achievements? I mean, I know you
Oh,
as the guy that has a really fancy tool to analyze bundles in the marketplace. That's like the first thing I remember you showing me, and that's like forever going to be locked with my first impression of Maxbrand. Is that representative of what you have to offer?
that was definitely my very first tool, and that one was interesting to do. Right now I have breeding automation, uh, SLP claiming, and account creation that I'm working on turning into a large-scale scholarship bot that will be shared for free with the entire ASPL.
Okay. That's pretty
Uh,
cool. So it
that's
just
my big
streamlines like
project.
the whole process, like automated SLP payouts and just
Yep.
management that way. Okay.
And Axie sending and breeding the Axies and everything you can possibly do that does not involve buying or selling them.
I see. Okay. That's pretty cool. Is that close to completion?
I think now that I finally am moved, I'll have a lot more time to get it done, so hopefully.
I see.
It's been a crazy couple of weeks with this move coming up and buying a condo.
Gotcha. So what's your origin story? I'm curious, how long have you been in Axie and how did you first get into Axie? I'm really curious because I guess I don't even know how old you are, but I know you're younger than I am. And I think by a decent amount. So,
I'm 23,
okay, yeah, that's a decent
so
amount.
my origin story was the GameStop stock stuff.
Wait, are you
Uh,
serious? How long ago
uh-huh.
was that? 2 years?
No, that was in March.
That was March of this year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So that happened, and I lost some money, and I decided I don't like stocks, and so I started messing around with cryptocurrency instead.
Wow. So you're really fresh. So you got in close to when I did, right? Like April of this year is when I really started taking my deep dive.
I bought my first Axie on March 5th.
Damn. I thought you were more of an OG than that for some reason.
A lot of people do, but nope. I'm haven't even been here a year.
So how did you how much land do you have?
Right now, technically two, but
Oh,
I have
okay.
5 pieces. 3 of
Okay.
them were used as collateral for a loan for my condo.
I see. So that's where your plots went because I saw because we're nearby, we're neighbors where I have Arctic land and you had 5 plots, and I noticed that they were all listed for sale for some crazy number, like 100 ETH or 200 ETH each or something.
200 each.
200 each, yeah. So future proof in that sale. I mean, for reference, I bought my plots that were like right next to that area for like
You
three
did
point
buy one
five.
of them from me.
Oh yeah, that was before I knew you though, and that was marketplace. That was
Mm-hmm.
straight up. That was funny. That was actually funny. I remember the first time we talked, I started talking to you about land, and then I wanted to pull it up to see exactly where it was, and I noticed like, oh holy shit, I bought this from you. That was a funny small world moment. It was a moment
Mm-hmm.
when I realized how small the Axie community really is.
It
Um,
really is.
wow. So that's cool. So, damn, did you must have bought those like right away in March, right before things blew up. Damn, dude.
I
Impeccable
definitely did.
timing.
It was end of March is when I bought them. I think I got well, I got 4 of the 5 for a total of 11 ETH, I think.
Okay,
And then the
that's pretty
last one
solid.
was like
That's
10 and
really
a half.
solid. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, so my big investor mistake, and I can't believe nobody told me this earlier on, or if they did, I really didn't resonate. But if you see something that you think is a good deal, or if it's like you're buying something that you like and you think might appreciate, consider buying a second one. Because everything that I've bought, it's pretty much appreciated in the crypto world. You know, like I bought some good
Mm-hmm.
collectors Axies. I bought a couple other NFTs. Like my meta keys have done pretty well so far. Stuff like that. I certainly missed
Mm-hmm.
out on a lot of stuff, but I wish I had bought duplicates so that I had stuff to sell. Like I wish I had sold my Bitcoin earlier and just bought more land and then sold like half the land that I bought and then used that to buy my Mystic instead of just waiting and using my Bitcoin to buy my Mystic. You know what I mean? Like, I like the land that I have now, but I don't really want to sell it. It's like, it's the land that I bought that I like, that I'm proud of, and I'm excited to
And
be.
way too attached to ever get rid of.
Yeah, I'm neighbors with you and Freak, man. This is awesome. This is prime real estate. We're right up on that Mystic territory. Do a straight shooter over into the landing. I mean, this is. I scoped that shit out for a reason, man. I put a lot of effort into, like, oh my god, I had to barter with AK to get that other plot a little bit to connect them to make this little baby estate. I don't know, dude. I did buy a forest plot that I would potentially flip and sell in the future, but obviously it's actually depreciated a little since I bought it. So I wish I had bought like 4 Arctic plots instead of just 2, and then I'd have 2 to sell, and I'd have a nice little profit right now. So yeah, that's same with the Meta
my
Key.
estate,
Wish I'd bought
I
2.
got. Yeah, me too. I had one. I sold my Medikey Edition 2 for 5 ETH and then bought an Edition 3 for 2 ETH so I didn't lose access to the server.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Uh,
I have a Genesis and an Edition 2, and I've been waiting to buy an Edition 3, thinking, oh, I got plenty of time till Edition 4 drops. It looks like that could drop like any moment, so gonna be close, dude.
And you definitely need an Edition 3 for their collector snapshot that's going to happen.
When does that happen?
I have no idea.
I want to be in it. I want to be in the picture.
Know that if you have all 3 of them,
yeah,
you get some extra reward.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. I think they'll take care of the key masters in the future. Is MetaKey the one? Have they talked about at any point like this idea of having physical locations where if you have MetaKey, you could use it as like either a discount or like special access to services in the real world? Am I confusing MetaKey with something else? Is that part of their long-term roadmap?
Honestly, don't know.
Ah, damn it, me neither. I can't remember. I've been reading so much different crypto stuff and talking to so many people. It blurs together a little bit if I don't have my notes right in front of me. I get confused. But I love the idea of that. That might also just be an idea that I had. I don't know. But I've spent a lot of time recently, like the last couple weeks, like it started when I was in Iceland, just like driving around and having fucking 4G the whole time. I just kept thinking about maybe Amazon's right. You know, maybe it does start digital to scale and take over and then weirdly come full circle back to the real world. Like once you cut out the middleman, so to speak, there's still like, how do you say it? You still got to build your own spot, you know? Like you can't take out the human element. Sorry, I got a sub and the sound distracted me. It all comes back to the human element at a certain point. Like smart contracts can do some of the heavy lifting for us, but there's still like shit that we need human power for. Human capital sounds like a really robotic term, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all like long-term big picture stuff, but it's all been super fascinating to think about.
Back to land for a minute. So my estate is 5 pieces. I got 1 from Jiho, 1 from Baranar, 1 off the market, and 1 that I don't remember who. But I know I traded with someone for it. It was like playing telephone, basically, of who can I trade with for what to get them what they want. I forget what that game is called.
Like where you start with something small and you like trade your way up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called either, though.
And so that was definitely an experience that I'm not sure is even as doable anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely glad I got in when I did.
Yeah, I think you and I came in at the tail end of like there was this golden phase like back in the day when you could bid on people's existing listings, so you could kind of lowball people, and if they wanted to liquidate, they're just, one button away from giving you all their shit for a pretty discounted price. And that was how a lot of people were able to grind a pretty big profit with a pretty small starting nest egg. We missed that whole phase, and
yeah.
I think we've existed mostly in like Axie bull markets and like the lead up to bull markets. So there's been moments where some people have provided good deals, but ultimately it's more strong hands than soft hands right now, and stuff's just kind of been going up and holding steady for the most part. So
My
yeah,
first,
you
yeah, for
you
sure.
you get big buy ops in those bear markets when people panic, you know.
My first big profit was off of flipping items.
Yeah,
Uh,
from bundles, I bet, right?
mm-hmm. Sir Bep and a few other people were dumping amazing bundle deals. And I turned, what, 0.167 ETH into, I think I have 30 ETH worth of items right now.
Damn, that's pretty good. That's really smart. See, I didn't even think about that when I first started playing Axie. It's really hard to judge the value of a system when you're brand new and you don't understand the scope of all these different aspects of it. You know, like I didn't realize how undervalued the collectors and mystic Axies were until it was not too late, but you know, they'd gone 10x from when I first was kind of checking them out and looking at the numbers. It's like in retrospect, damn, if I was smart enough to want to take a full-time job at Sky Mavis, why wasn't I
Mhm.
smart enough to spend more money on Axie then and, you know,
Yeah,
buy some of this stuff when it was really undervalued? It seems so obvious in retrospect, but I guess that's always how it goes.
I definitely agree, and I know the feeling. I'm glad I was gifted the Mystic. I had been saving for a very extended period of time, and every time I got close, the price would double.
Yeah. I know that feeling. I was that was starting to happen to me with Origins a little bit. And I had
Hmm.
multiple times I was just like, you know, I think I'm over this. I missed it with Origins, and hanging out with Jeff and Arctic for 4 days in Denver, ogling over collector's items I can't afford. I'm just like, all right, I'm buying one. Let's go right now. I closed out all my BSC positions. I'm done. I traded in my DGen gains to have a nice DGen Origin Axie. Now, of course, like a good collector, I've just got my sights set on like a zero breed origin. Like, oh, okay. After talking to the real collectors, I was like, fuck, all my collectors' Axies have breed numbers. The real collectors want zero breed. Oh no. Oh
Hmm.
no. I've missed it again.
I
I didn't
had a
think
lot
people
of
would care.
fun rolling the wrapped origins.
Do you have
Uh,
any AOC?
I do not know. I've helped broker a number of trades for them, but I don't have any.
Can you make me a bull case for rolling my tokens? Because I have 5, but I'm splitting them 50-50 with someone else. So I really own half, and I have to convince the other half that, you know, anything's worth it to use them or move them or whatever. I want to roll them so fucking badly, dude.
I mean, right now you can't. Uh,
You can't
it's
really?
n
Oh,
No,
wow.
it's not enabled. They have not migrated the contract over to the Ronin chain. But I bet if you were to say, "Hey, Sky Mavis, I want to roll these. I'll do it on stream," they'd make the contract.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's good to know. I didn't know that you can't roll them right now. I actually did ask someone and it didn't get a response, and that explains why. Okay.
Yes, you can't even move the coins to the Ronin chain yet.
Ah,
Uh, they
okay.
support the Axie Egg coins, but not the Origin coins.
Uh, okay. Well, all right. Let's pretend that I could. Is there so you can't roll them on mainnet and then migrate the
No,
Axie?
every Axie contract on mainnet is paused,
Gotcha.
except for the unwrapping of Origins.
All right. Well, so the math is like you have just about a 30% chance because all the mystic stuff is additive, right? So it's like a 25, is it a 20% chance
Correct.
or 25% chance to get a single origin?
Single Mystic, yeah.
I said origin, single mystic. Yeah, is it 20 or 25? I can't remember.
I don't remember either,
Ah, I'm
but
so
I
bad at
can
remembering
pull
numbers.
it up 25.04.
To get a single. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So when you add all of them together, then you get close to 30. That's about the limit.
It's right about, yeah, it's like 29.8 or something.
Yeah. There you go. That sounds exactly right. So not great. You know, I don't know what the AOC tokens are worth on the open market right now. They're pretty
I
rare,
mean,
but
what
they're
did you
also
buy? What'd you get yours for?
I think it was 1.75.
I think, was it that or was it 2.75 each?
No, you're right. It was 2.75.
So all
Yeah, you're
5 of
totally right.
them were 13.5 ETH. So, you know, when I would justify it is when Origins hit that price, which they inevitably will at some point.
Well, and it's also if you think like so 30% chance to get a mystic generally speaking, the mystic floor is around 30. So, not quite there. It's the expected values in favor of holding slash selling. But yeah, I don't know. Are they worth more than I bought them for? You know, it's one of those weird markets where somebody, if you have a motivated buyer, there might not be that many people willing to sell them. But they're such a weird niche item. There aren't that many buyers out there. There's some.
I think there are a lot of buyers out there actually. Just
Really?
no one's selling them.
Oh,
I
shit.
I've brokered what? I think it was 13 with you guys, right? Or 12. 12 with you guys. Another 4 for Prism. I think I've brokered 25 coin sales. Well, not sales, but 25 coins.
Right, yeah. Coins moved. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that's good chunk of the supply. I know 45 of them are owned by one wallet that won't sell them.
Okay.
And there's like 135 in circulation right now.
All right. Yeah, that is I see what you're saying. That's a pretty high percentage of the market.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have honestly buyers lined up for days for them. People that want them and have messaged me wanting them.
Yeah, but that zero breed prime origin, it's fucking Zyori's rolled origin. Come on, man. You know that thing's going to be worth more than the floor.
How about the only origin at the moment over 1 million?
Oh, maybe I should wait until 10 million. Or, no, do it before. Then I'll be the only origin that's between 1 million and 10 million. Oh, fuck, dude. Fuck, dude. I don't know. Yo, business partner, are you listening right now? Because I think we should roll these things. What if we get the last double mystic, dude? That thing could change
What
our
if
lives.
you get an X6 Mystic?
Well, that's
the only one.
That would. Is there even a 5?
No, there isn't. There are only 3 triple Mystics. Or quadruple, I mean.
God. I know that Sky Mavis has some, but that's not the same. Even if they let me roll them, it's not the same as like the ones that you own, you know? I feel like I have this feeling inside of me that the inevitability of those coins is they're getting fucking rolled. I don't think there's a world where we actually sell them. Unless we get some crazy offer. If we could 10x those coins.
Like 100 ETH each?
Oh, yeah. I definitely take 100 ETH each. That's too much. You know, some things are just... Although, again, what's the relative opportunity cost? How much are mystics at that point? Yeah, I don't know. If AOC are 100 for a piece, 500...
It would mean an origin has to be around that price.
The real question, though, is an origin... Is the only origin in the 1 to 10 million range... Is that actually a collector's item? Do people really care about... That's so niche.
What you really do is try and get the origin to be 10 million.
Well, that's like not even possible, dude.
I mean, That depends who you ask.
Well, and now that we have these new fancy rules around no scripting with
Also
breeding
true.
events, that makes it a lot harder. I seriously like you get one shot, and that assumes that the contract is in by the time we get to 10 million. So yeah.
Well, then if it's not in, you can't get the lowest below
Oh
10 mil,
yeah.
the one below 10 million
Fuck,
anyway.
you're right. Oh my god. Yeah, you're smart. Good catch.
And I mean, at the rate we're going, we're almost at 7 million.
Yeah, we're cruising.
Yeah,
I mean, has
a
it
lot
been
of
keeping up?
Axies.
I know we had a big pump that first day. SLP hasn't actually really moved that much. Has breeding still been keeping up, or is breeding still not going too crazy? It looked like the floor was moving up a lot for not like floor Axies, but floor. There was a window there where I was buying like 98% pure tanks and 98% aquas for like 0.09, 0.1, and that is
You know
bananas.
what's interesting to me is that for the first time in a very long time, the number of Axies per holder is actually going up.
Really? Is that because people want more energy, or just because the
Have no idea why. I
market
just know
to
that it
sell is
is.
not great?
Yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
Oh, let's see. The mint to burn ratio. You were asking about burning. Definitely a lot more SLP is being burned.
It'll take a couple weeks to really kick in.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Be patient. It's a good time to stock up here.
Yep.
Although I've been slowing down on breeding a little bit, and like I said, I've just been buying more. Like some of these floor Axies are actually, I hate to say it, but you guys got to remember that statistic we brag about, right? 50% of Axie's daily active users are new to crypto. A lot of them have played games before, but they're probably not as well versed with the market and min maxing the highs and lows than those of us that have been, playing with crypto for months or years, or like if you have experience with stocks and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people that don't know what they have. And there's this weird, you see these meta obsessions, like anything that Elijah or Indez makes a video about, obviously you'll see people that kind of flock to buy whatever that is. But you'll see Terminators go from like really, really overhyped and overvalued to then they get mass bred. And I'm looking at the floor like 0.07. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy a couple
What's
Terminators.
crazy is the Terminators, there were 100%, there were like pure Terminators that
Yeah.
were selling for upwards of 5 ETH, I think it was.
That's insane, dude. I mean, I guess for
Max Speed
breeding.
Poison Dusk sold for 5 ETH.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean the ones I'm buying at that level are not, they're obviously not perfect, but they're not terrible either. Like they're way
Mm-hmm.
above like, your average MMR or whatever. Like price per like average on the MMR curve, I think that shit was value as hell. Um and yeah, there's this
Yeah.
weird obsession with 6 out of 6 pures. I've said this before, but I used to get comments of people both ways saying 6 out of 6, it's not fair. They're so underpowered. Like, they need to be buffed or something because I bought this for breeding, but I just keep getting destroyed by these like really weird custom Axies that are expensive. And then you hear people say it the other way where they're like, 6 out of 6, they're so overpowered. Like, I keep getting beaten arenas by these 6 out of 6 pure Axies. They're just too good. My tank sucks. He's only 5 out of 5 and he dies every time. It's just like, all right. It matters for tanks a little bit. You're not totally wrong. But everything else, like, yeah, dude, come
And I
on.
mean, even with tanks, I think it's if you stick I think Reptile, it might be bug part on it, and it still has max health, then it's
True.
mostly fine.
True. Very true, actually. That's a good point. It's a good caveat. Good way to
I think it's
snipe some
bug.
value Axies. So yeah, it's anyway. There's like you can see these weird kind of breakpoints that exist outside of just the normal bell curve, where I think it makes breeding 6 out of 6s more valuable, at least it has over time, because there's this weird inflation around it. But now the meta shifts, as we've all talked about it, and I've told that story enough times, and other people have told similar stories. Now you look at the floor, and it's like you're looking at these sick 95% like yam pumpkin tanks with Sirius and some pretty decent genetics for like 0.08. I'm like, what is this? These are amazing. I've snagged, like, what's the point of breeding? I'm just going to buy these things. You know, this is what I'm
When
hoping
they
to breed.
announced the breeding change, I went and picked up a couple of 100%.
Wow. For what price?
Way too cheap.
I'm sure. Yeah, I didn't see any hundreds. Them's pretty rare these days.
I got a beast for 0.085.
That's pretty good.
And Nemo, not great. Nemo Anemone Babylonia.
Okay.
For
Still.
0.135.
I don't know. 100% are pretty cool, dude. People really like those round numbers.
And a risky Shoalstar Goldfish Tadpole for 0.095.
Wow.
So, I mean, even if the moves aren't great, they're 100% pure, which is harder and harder to come by these days.
It is. No, for sure. I mean, collectors-wise, when I see older Axies that are 100%, even if I can't breed them now, like the one bug that I have is 100%, and I fucking love it. I love that. Like, I totally get it. I have a little bit of that collector's itch. Do you feel that? Do you have any collector's? I know you're not a big art guy, but do you have any of the collector's bug? Do you collect anything? Do you collect rocks in real life?
Particularly, no.
No. Okay. Utility guy.
I collect copies of the website. Not really. But I go through the code on the website frequently to find things. Found some wonderful little goodies in it.
So that's a sick collection. I've got a backed up version of every edition of the Axie Infinity website. That is, that's something. That's a cool.
Well, they obfuscated and minified to all hell, but they're still there. And the links generally aren't obfuscated.
Yeah, somebody was talking to me yesterday about how he bought a first edition Harry Potter book that's worth like thousands of dollars for like kind of a steal. I was like, damn, that's a sick collection. Have all the first edition Harry Potters. Fuck, why did I think of that? Yeah, it's something that's so obviously going to appreciate. You could have started that collection like 10 years ago and bought them for $500, and now they're worth $5,000. Ah, damn it, Max. I missed out again.
Yeah.
Are you in on any of these NFT collections, dude? You got any Supducks or any of this bullshit?
I have some Cyberkongs.
Oh, Cyberkongs. I see. This is one also that I didn't do because I thought Cyberkongs. The fuck is this shit? Why would anybody want a Kong of what the VX? And then
the VX are the ones I have. I have one baby, normal one that I got from Coco. I wish I had Gen Kongs because they're like 100 ETH each right now.
Yeah.
But I did roll a legendary VX in the mint.
Yeah, I gotta start doing more mints, dude. That's the real value.
I won't buy things aftermarket. It's never worth it.
Sometimes it is, dude. I've been watching Supduck since the floor was at 2 ETH. Just like, man, I'll maybe buy these soon. I gotta do some stuff. I wish I'd bought a Supduck and then just waited a week and then sold the Supduck. That I could have bought an Origin and had another 2 ETH left over. Come on, man.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
It's like, I recommended it. Multiple people I know are just like, hey, man, thanks for mentioning Supducks. That was a really smart investment. I'm like, I know. Congratulations. That's like, I'm happy for you, but those hurt a little more when you see it, but you don't have the capital right there, and then you buy something else, and you're just like, oh my God, why did I buy this Origin? Nobody was eyeing up this Origin. It could have sat there for another month. There's plenty of Origins. There's only so many Supducks. Fuck. Anyway, I digress.
I think there's more Supducks than Origins.
I think you're right, but still, they're pumping. You add a token to it. I mean, Voxies are the same way. Are you a Voxie guy?
Voxies I have a good chunk of.
I have 2, so I'm not.
I have 17 of them.
I see. Are you a horsey guy? I know you're into Zed Run, dude. You got a couple Genesis
Oh God,
horses.
no!
You're breeding
I
up some
refuse to
legendaries.
touch Zed Run.
I bought one horse. I named it Pepper's Fogel, and she's just chilling. I realized that I paid too much for a horse that's just okay, and I did some research. And here's the pro tip, guys. I'm gonna save you some time on Zed Run. Okay, you ready? Go big or go home. It's a reverse funnel system, you see, okay? So the lower horses only breed really shitty horses, and the Genesis horses can't make more Genesis horses. So those are like the top of the funnel, and then everything else is just like, dude, those Pacers, you don't want any part of those Pacers, okay? I know they like look like value. Nah, you want to get as high up bloodline as possible, and then after that, you want as high up Z as possible. So buy like a Z3 Genesis horsey and get you want 3 what is it? 1 mare and 3 stallions, or no? One stallion, 3 mares. I'm sorry. I had it backwards. And then you pump out the babies like crazy and you sell those babies and yeah, you make your money back. Now it's a slow grind because you got to put like, I don't know, 15 ETH into this Genesis set of horses. And the babies only sell for like, I don't know, 0.3, 0.4. And you can only breed 3 babies per 30 days. So
Oh God.
it's a bit of a slow grind to make it back. Yeah, anyway, not to go too deep on the horses. But yeah, I don't know, Max. I think Zyori's stable is going to stay pretty small.
Yeah, from what I know about Zed Run, it's a gambling game, I think.
Um,
I might be
well,
wrong.
the breeding isn't, but the racing element obviously has gambling to it. Yes,
And
I'm
that's
talking
kind
just
of stuff I
purely
won't touch.
about breeding. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't really know how the race mechanics work. I don't know if it is just coin flip random, or I would assume the genetics have something to do with it. But I'll be honest,
Hmm.
I actually don't know.
I don't either. I have not looked into the game much at all.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad that you're still focusing your energy on Axie, as you should, you know,
I spend
as I
all
should.
day, every day doing Axie,
Dude,
but
it
I
was,
have not played the game in months.
yeah, I know what you mean. The more time I spend working on Axie events, the less time I spend like actually playing Axie arenas in my free time. But um, I have to say,
Tyranitar, who's in chat, actually plays on my account.
oh, there you go, a Max scholar, if you will.
We
Um,
did actually just start a scholarship.
that's hype. Is it named after your mystic? Did you copy the Zyori model? I hope so.
Nope,
Fuck. Why not?
because it's named after me and the other founder of it.
Oh, okay. You're not as narcissistic as I am to force your business partners to name your scholarship after your mystic.
No, it's just named after us instead, Prism Axie.
Oh, okay. Very wise.
Because
That's cool. What many
it
scholars you up
works
to?
quite well. Aaron can tell us in chat, Tyranitar. I don't actually know. I just handle the tech side mostly.
I hear you. We're
We
165. Oh wow, yeah. I think we're up to 50 or 60 at Soraya Scholarship. Pretty hype. Cruising, dude.
we started August 15th, so it's been a month and a half.
Wow. Wow. I'm not surprised that you can scale. You seem like you've got the brain for it. So that's I shouldn't say wow. That was condescending. I apologize, Max.
Apology accepted.
But yeah, at let's see, what was I going to say? It was something about MCon. It was something about events, something about Axies, something about
Not having time to play.
before that, um, something about people being excited about something or other. Totally lost it. But are you coming to New York? I can't remember.
I am not.
Ah, gosh, darn. All right, all right. Well, I'm
I don't
sad.
even. It's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a month away, almost exactly. It's like 35 days or something. I think November
Hmm.
1st is the first day of the actual event. We'll be in New York for like a week. Should be
Yeah.
cool.
I've had just too many things going on to even think about it with the move.
I remember now. People saying like they're sort of apologizing to Jeff and I. They'd come up to us and ask us about Axie and be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I bet you guys are tired of talking about Axie." And we're both like, "Nah, it's cool, man. This is just kind of what we do. Talking about
Hmm.
Axie is a part of daily life. You're not really slowing me down or speeding me up. It just is." So I don't know. Keep firing away. Happy to answer any question you got. I like the real life energy is so awesome at
Hmm.
these kind of events. You know, I've been to a lot of esports events, but I haven't been to really like any blockchain events. So MCon was a first for me, and it was interesting to see the energy and just see all these people that were so stoked that Axie is making blockchain cool. You know, that we're actually giving new
Hmm.
users a reason to like learn about blockchain. I love seeing those stories and people are like, I started with Axie and now I bought, insert like, Ethereum or various other token here. It's like, that's awesome, man. That's so
Yep.
cool. I love it.
I definitely started with Axie. I heard about Axie from when Flying Falcon bought that bundle of Genesis land for $1.5 million.
Oh, yeah.
That showed up on my Coinbase feed, and I read it and said, hey, this looks interesting. I should look at Axie. And a day and a half later, I bought some Axies.
Wow. I've been trying to push people recently into being a collector. I think MCon and spending time with Jeff in person, it really pushed for me. Our universe is so incomplete. It's really easy for people to focus in on battles, be like, Axie's not for me. Like, I introduced it to a few of my friends and made the mistake of like not really introducing them to the universe. And they
Mm-hmm.
bought some Axies. They played the game for, let's say, a week, and then they just sold their Axies back. And they were stoked at the free market mechanics and the fact that they could try it. And at the time, I think it was still during the upswing, and they made maybe like a zero point 0.1 ETH profit or something. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's cool, but I wish I had sort of communicated like this is just the alpha version of one of the games that is going to exist in the Axie universe. Like Axie has this stronger value proposition that's way bigger in nature and encouraging people to just like buy some AXS and like one collector's Axie, like a Japanese or a Frosty or a Christmas or an Origin or something. Like I totally get if you don't like card games or the current battle game is just not for you. Like I come from the MOBA space where a lot of people sit there and go, turn-based card games. It doesn't get any slower than that, dude. Can you multi-table? And like I totally get it. I get that
Mm-hmm.
energy. And I think those people look at Axie sometimes and go, oh yeah, fucking card game, who cares? And those are the people that you need to explain the universe to, right? Get them hyped on like
Mm-hmm.
the social element and all these new users and like banking the bankless and all the like the SDK and like think of Axie as a platform. That's the value proposition. The current battle
Yeah.
mode is just the alpha game on that platform. That's like really powerful, heavy stuff. And I didn't really think about the framing. I wasn't weighting that framing properly until I had that real
Mm-hmm.
life experience. Does that make sense? That was a lot of words to say a pretty
It
simple concept.
totally does, and I agree. I came for the game. I found it, a lot of people won't agree with me, but I found it incredibly boring. And so I kept looking and I found the community and the marketplace, and those are the reasons I stayed, not the game.
Mm-hmm.
And for what it will be able to do in the future.
Yeah.
Uh, Battles V2 will be great. The Axie Sync, I still like to call it the Axie Grinder, but it's technically not a grinder, will be great.
I'm excited to build out integrations and games and stuff with the
Hmm.
SDK. Like, there are some pretty cool games that exist in the Pokemon universe that I think could translate to Axie, like Pokemon Snap. Like, I think the idea of being able to take pictures with your Axies and like go on this little safari and see them like your Axies in the wilderness and you take pictures and they get scored or something. That could be an awesome mini game. Like I think augmented reality, it doesn't even have to be a game. It could just be like an app on your phone that you walk around and it shows your Axie like interacting with the environment, you know? Maybe it jumps in water and like rolls around or something. I don't fucking know. It could be purely visual, but that's just one more piece of things that you can, it's all engagement, right? It's all eyeball time that you're spending with your Axie. That's just as good as spending time in the arena or well, all right, maybe they're not one-to-one, but I think you get what I mean, right? Just interacting with your Axie and bringing your digital pet to life. Like I went on a date the other night and I was talking to this person about how I'm just so tired of pets. No offense, I know you got a dog, but like I live in Boulder, in Colorado. Everybody has a fucking dog, and it drives me crazy, dude. Some of them are really awesome, some of them are okay, some of them are real shitheads, but they're everywhere, and everybody wants to bring them inside, and everybody has no respect for fucking service animals anymore. And there's all these comfort, emotional
don't
support
even
pets.
Get me started on the service animal issue that's happening.
It's fucking awful. It's like all these people are ruining it for people that actually need service animals. It's bananas. So I'm just, both of my parents are veterinarians, so I've spent a lot of time around animals. When I moved out of my house and left to go to California in like 2013 or 2014 or whatever, 2014, there were 12 dogs and 3 people living in my house. That's too much. It's too much, man. So like, I often describe myself as like, I'm still on a burnout, like break period of pets. And now that they're so popular and prolific near where I live, I just feel like, God, what do you need a dog for? So
I was definitely training mine to be an emotional or a service animal, and
really?
I decided that I didn't need it, and so we continued the training. But he's not a service animal; he's just a really well-trained dog.
Well, that works too. That's what good dogs are amazing, and well-trained dogs are awesome. And like, I've had some great dogs. I've had some just okay rescues. But yeah, one of my pet peeves are people that get pets and don't really treat them amazing, or don't really like. I often hesitate at parties and stuff to tell people that my parents are veterinarians, because people always follow up with, oh, well, what's the best food that I should feed? And then inevitably I list a couple and they pull it up on their phone and go, wow, that's really expensive. And I go, well, yeah, you asked what the best one is. The best one is pretty high quality and it's not cheap. They go, well, what's the next best option? It's like, honestly, home cooking is really not bad. It's cheap as hell, but it's time consuming. You got to make like food for your fucking dog. And then people go, oh my God, that's way too much effort. I don't even make
food for myself most of the time.
Yeah, and that exactly, that's the energy where it comes from. So like, again, I get that, but at this point in the conversation, I'm just sitting there like, this is so not fun for me, man. This like shitty consulting that you're getting here of you asking me these high questions and just going, wow, animals are way harder than I thought. Like, yeah, I know, asshole. You should have thought about that before you got your fucking dog. Anyway, I digress, Max.
I went to a few different vets. I said, what's the best food to get him? And that's the food I went and got. And I don't care that it's expensive. Yeah. He deserves it.
Yeah. So it's a thing. And there is like the trend, like millennials do tend to take pretty good care of their animals, but there's also a counter element to that, not just on the food side, but then it's like people are either pretty good about training their animals and they're more receptive to the food thing. Then you see other people that are too soft. So like, yeah, they put a lot of time and effort and money into the food, but they are not the alpha. And that dog is just like running the space and you're looking at them interact and they're like, come here, Scruffy. And the dog's just like, yeah, I'm coming if I want to, but I don't give 2 shits about this alpha presence. Like you gotta, I don't know, man. You gotta.
Yeah, I'm the boss and he knows it. And he's a big dog. He's a shepherd pit mix. He's 70 pounds.
Oh, dude, that's a smart dog. That's an active brain
smart.
Right there.
But so I knew when I got him that training would be incredibly important because of all the bad press around them.
Yeah.
And so he's an incredible dog. I desensitized him to things like I can pull on his ears and his tail or his feet and he won't care. Every time he goes to the vet, he's like, wow, he's such a sweet dog. He doesn't care when we mess with him.
Yeah. I mean, legit service animals are it's crazy impressive, and it's like when I grew up, that was before the support animal era, so I remember the kind of peak like service animal. Like my parents, my dad worked for like state government in like public health stuff with animals, so very different from like the veterinary hospital vibe. But that was certainly at least tangential to his wheelhouse as a state veterinarian. Pretty cool, pretty interesting, like different aspect to stuff that is still like really important. You know, like rabies is a big part of that kind of stuff. Like zoonotic diseases, where stuff that if your cat gets bit by a raccoon that has rabies, then your cat bites you, you can get rabies. There actually aren't that many things that can like cross species like that and still be deadly.
Rabies is terrifying.
Yeah. Rabies is really terrifying. And the worst part about it is if you get exposed, but you're not really sure, and like you have to decide between this really expensive, really painful vaccine or dying, it's just there. It all sucks, you know. Like even if you're fine, the vaccine is not fun. It's crazy expensive because it's expensive to produce, and we don't need it that often. But when you need it, it's like life or death. But it has like a short shelf life. I think it expires yearly. So there's like this whole game of you want to buy as little as possible, but always have enough on hand that anybody that needs it can get a dose. But, talking about things you can't automate, to circle it back when we were talking about the human element, some things you just need humans to use their judgment on. You can't rely on, as much as I love Ethereum and the future of like this SDK and what smart contracts can do from like a governance perspective, I think of them as like efficiency rails, but they're still connecting human systems. Is that a fair framing?
I think so.
I don't know. Are you excited about the governance aspect of land? I think I've been asking people about this a lot recently. Like, do you like politics? Does it excite you, the inevitability of the politics of land?
I don't like politics. I do like the thought of being able to make decisions that affect the game, though.
Sounds like you like politics, dude, and you're just in denial.
I don't like the... I guess it's more I don't like modern politics.
So you're right. I see what you're saying. Like politics has become very distorted and warped, and I think that's part of, like, I love the theory of politics, right? And like if you think about like the politics the founding fathers were discussing, that shit's pretty interesting to think about. This like, all right, we took the land back. Now what? Like, I think that's like the kind of stuff we want to try to get in touch with and think about when we're talking about what Axie governance could look like. And I guess that's what I mean by like land gameplay politics. Like, we're founding this Axie nation. How do we actually want to do that? What does that look like? And I think that looks very different from like modern day politics in America. Like, let's say, I hope we're like many generations away from the Axie political universe being this polarized and divided and like inefficient and awful.
Sure hope so, but at the same time, after Axie 1 million happened, there were a lot of people shouting, let the community vote based on AXS holdings, like real governance.
But if they had, do you think you actually would have been boned?
I would not have even gotten banned for a year.
That's yeah, exactly. So
because all of the big AXS holders sent me messages of support.
Right. How do I say this in the most politically correct way possible, since we're talking about, I got to role play as a politician here. I think that gets brought up in a really funny but predictably human way, where when people don't like something that's happening, they're like, we got to move up the schedule. Like, this is so important. We got to vote on this. We got to move up AXS voting right now. And it's like, nope, it doesn't work like that. The schedule is the schedule. It's not immutable, but it doesn't just change like for one specific issue. And generally, I think when people make that argument, it's what you just described, where they don't have a great picture of what, like, who has the majority of AXS and how do they feel about any given issue. It might not be aligned with what you're seeing like 1,000 people saying on Twitter. And I think this is a really important, like, in I made a couple statements about like the FUD stuff that was coming up the last couple weeks. And like, you know, those YouTubers making all those videos of like the doomsday, the future of AXS.
They're just doing that to get views. That's it, I think.
Yeah. Well, it has the illusion of captivating content, you know, and it's like this idea of a vocal minority, right? Unfortunately, that concept has been abused a lot by big corporations that like scoff off valid criticisms that are coming from a vocal minority, but just being like, only 1% of our users feel that way. Fuck them, you know? That's not great. But at the same time, recognize that like 1,000 people on Twitter that are angry, all yelling about the same thing at the same time, that looks like a crazy shitstorm. And it kind of is, but 1,000 people? What percent is 1,000 out of 1.7 million daily active users? It's a really low percentage. It's way less than 1%, right? It's 0.00. There's a couple zeros there, you know? It's like a fraction of a percent. So I'm not saying that those voices don't matter. I'm just saying don't confuse that when people use hyperbolic language like, I'm just echoing the sentiment of the majority of the Axie community. Because look, there's thousands of people that agree with me. Thousands is not the majority, right? And that's like one of them said that specifically. Like I saw it in a string of tweets of like majority and then thousands. And it's like those are just, it's like significant figures, man. Orders of magnitude is the difference of what we're talking about here. So yeah. It's a convincing illusion, but I want to echo that sentiment of just be wary of people that claim to be with the majority, because the majority is it's a big global decentralized group of people across a lot of cultures and a lot of countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of, do you remember the very first ban wave when everyone was freaking out about, am I going to get banned? So many people got banned, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
In reality, less than 1% of DAU got banned in that ban wave.
Yeah. Yeah.
And DAU is at like 150K at the time. We were at 150K and now we're at 1.7 million.
Yeah. And I mean,
holy crap.
A great attack vector is that like misinformation stuff, and it gets hard to tell what's real and what isn't. But a lot of those people that get banned make up sob stories about, hey, I'm just a normal person. My grandma plays on my Wi-Fi. Be careful. They're doing that as a retaliation tactic because they got banned and just lost a bunch of money in their shitty multi-counting farm. You know, it's not real, but when you read that as like a comment somewhere, you're like, oh, fuck, that's messed up. His grandma got banned? It's like, no, his grandma's not playing, man. You know, there are some grandmas playing, but not everybody that says that. You're like, it goes back to that age-old rule we used to learn, at least I used to hear in school, and it was like internet up and coming. Anybody can make a website about anything. Anybody can tweet anything about anything. That doesn't make it real, right? Some of it is real, but not all of it's real. So just like, remember that. You want to have that like healthy skepticism when you see those kind of claims, especially after a big ban wave. And, you know, it's, yeah.
I just want to address real quick, JS Rosha. Yes and no. I think what many people don't realize is that the result of Axie 1 million was automation for everything. Scholarship automation, which hundreds to thousands of scholarships use now, is a result of that decision.
Yeah. I think what you're talking about is the like after Axie 1 million happened, that triggered a significant change and upgrade in the TOS language that provided clarification around automation that, correct me if I'm misspeaking here as I don't have it right in front of me, but it basically says automation is okay in certain circumstances, such as like a scholarship fund or like general breeding outside of specific events. And it specifically clarifies if there's like a breeding event happening, then automation is not okay moving forward.
There were 3 cases that automation is not allowed: buying Axies, selling Axies, and breeding during a breeding event. Every other time it's allowed.
Gotcha.
And that is a massive shift. in their original no automations allowed, but we won't stop you from doing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right. And yeah,
I've helped a few scholarships scale from being stuck at 100 to one of them's now at 800 because they can automate it all.
yeah. Now, automation's important. And it is, there's like a weird balance here where I think some people argue extremes and sort of act like we're just going to jump to this future where everything's automated, so we shouldn't do anything to mitigate any automation in the meantime. And I don't know if I align with that perspective necessarily. You know, like I think there's some truth there, right? Like automation is going to be a part of our future, and in a lot of cases, automation aligns with efficiency as it relates to like human productivity and social dynamics in some cases. But not all automation in all cases is good, and I think we still want some things to have some human element. That said, like any kind of open marketplace, it's really hard to preemptively ban like all bot activity. You know, like we do ban accounts that have this like super suspicious bot like behavior where they're buying and selling super quickly, like they catch listings immediately faster than a human could. We can detect it retroactively, and we do ban a lot of those so that those bots aren't worth it for people to run. But
we
can't
ban
like,
a lot of them, yeah.
yeah, but we can't like, we're not about to run like KYC software on your computer or something that's like, you know, like a lot of other games have that anti-cheat stuff, right? Like think about Riot. Remember when they launched
Easy
Valorant?
anti-cheat and a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other ones.
Yeah, and it runs like on a kernel layer or whatever, and it's like, you know, it's looking for this crazy, you know, like aimbot type software. That that's a whole nother level. You know what I mean? We're not even, that's so far
And that
disconnected from what we're doing.
violates all
Yeah,
sense of decentralized and
right.
what the blockchain stands for in my mind.
Yeah. So it's just one of these systems where you have to realize that even though in theory it's like, yeah, you're not allowed to use any automation to do anything on the marketplace, it is challenging to ban all bot activity on something that is just a free and open marketplace, you know, because they can exist on these kind of high levels and interact with your website where you can see the behavior afterwards, but it's reactive in nature. So,
And
but yeah,
there are ways to solve it, but I can guarantee any of those solutions would hurt the community more than help it.
right. No, totally.
Like if you stick a captcha on every purchase, how
Yeah.
miserable would people be?
Oh no, totally. No, I hear you. And
I
that's
know
like,
I would.
yeah, it's that triangle, right? There's trade-offs in every way. It's like the scalability, security, and like usability or whatever the other one is. Like there's trade-offs in every way. What is the maximum security thing is like omega inconvenient for actual usage. And the most convenient usage is like, well, sure, just throw it on a hot wallet, dude. It's one click. But then your
Yeah.
entire life's on a hot wallet. So there's trade-offs for everything. There's no like perfect system. But
Funny thing, everything I have's on a hot wallet.
wow. Well, there you go. That's Max
There's a
Brand.
lot of misinformation about what hard wallets will and won't do for you.
Ah, look at you. Yeah,
Any of the stuff like the approving a token and losing all your funds, a hard wallet won't protect you from.
oh yeah, no, totally.
Or
It's
entering your seed phrase on a bad website. Don't enter your seed phrase anywhere besides the official
well,
wallets, you guys.
yes. No, I mean you're right about that. Yeah, the hardware wallet doesn't it can't protect you from yourself fundamentally. If you're going to type your seed phrase into a phishing website, there's no wallet, there's no hardware solution to that one, unfortunately. That's just a personal
And
education thing.
a lot of people I've seen have thought that, oh, it's a hardware wallet. Your funds are stored on the wallet. And that's not true either. They're still on the Ethereum chain. Your seed
No.
phrase is a seed phrase still that can be put
Yeah.
into any hot wallet and used the
Yeah, no,
same.
your wallet is like, it's like an access token to your wallet. That's
Yes.
so like it's a portal into it, but correct. Yeah, with your seed phrase you can that that exists on a higher level than just that hardware wallet, right? Like you can take your seed phrase and then just type it into, like, set up a new Trezor and then type it in, and then you'll have two Trezors. That's two access tokens that are portals into your wallet, right? It can exist in multiple hardware spaces. It can exist in none. You could destroy all of them and then just have your seed phrase and then put it on a Trezor a year from now if you wanted to do that. Like, that's the beauty of the blockchain. It all exists on the blockchain. These are just, I like that term, access portals. That's really a good descriptor. I pat myself on the back.
And I wish people could understand that more. Like the stuff with OpenSea people freaking out about OpenSea getting hacked. It's the same contract nonsense that was happening with tokens, where you approve them and then they steal from you. And a hardware wallet won't save you.
Yeah.
Just don't approve the stuff.
Yeah. I got airdropped a fishy looking token. I was like, nope, not touching that shit.
What you do is you hide it and
exactly
you forget about it.
That is exactly what I did. Hiding it was still scary though, because you still have to like click on the picture. You're just like, I don't want to touch this thing at all. It's like I'm picturing that meme with like the little blob with the stick, just like, ugh, God, stay away.
And hiding it is an OpenSea transaction and not an Ethereum one.
And it's just a sign too, so it's like, yeah.
But like if you go look at Rarible, that NFT will still show up.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's only hiding it from OpenSea. And
correct.
People, I wish people would realize that one too.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that's. Well, what are you gonna do? There's a lot of education to be done, Max. But
there's way too much. And how do you educate people that don't want to be educated?
Well, I think there are a lot of people that want to be educated. There's a lot of people that don't as well. There's a lot that exists in both groups. But I think that is, again, how do I say this in like the nicest way possible? Like
having the education out there for the people that want it.
Yeah. Well, like, there's this really cool dynamic forming where people in developing countries, the value proposition for them to learn is much stronger than somebody who's in like North America or Western Europe, where minimum wage is pretty high. Like you have like this global leading currency. So, $20 USD a day is not a big deal in Canada or USA, but it is in, South America, whatever. That like creates this really interesting dynamic where people who need it the most have the biggest reason to learn about the technology. And there are a lot of tools out there to allow them to start that learning process. And like, I don't know if you know who Brax is, but he's like a Dota pro that's been playing Axie recently and streaming and started a scholarship and stuff. And he tweeted as kind of an experiment yesterday, like, Dota community, like respectfully sell me on why NFTs are bad. Because there's like, if you look at any of the threads like in that space, they're like super, super anti-NFT. And like some of their responses were like, I can't do it respectfully. And it's like, that classic argument tactic where you go like, well, there's a million reasons why NFTs are bad. Okay, name one. Well, I mean, there's just so many. Like, there's like a million different ones, but just picking one, you're just like, what are you doing, man? What do you just say a thing? If it's so convincing, give me the most. Hit me with the big one. What do you got? And then there's a lot of just general scam terms. It's like, well, it's all scam, and it's like that's not an argument. You're just saying things, right? This seems to be a much more prolific mindset from people in the West, and like in these more developed countries, because our financial system has allowed, enabled, and basically encouraged them to become complacent when it comes to like financial responsibility, financial planning, and certainly like financial ownership, right? Like the whole banking system is built on this, we got it presence. Somebody stole my credit card, no problem. You call not AT&T. You call Wells Fargo and go, oh, somebody stole my card. You got to roll back these transactions. And Wells Fargo goes, don't worry, bud. We got it. We're sending you a new one in the mail. Throw that shit in the trash. You're like, thank God. Wells Fargo support. They saved me again. Woo! And it's like, there's so much like moral hazard there where it takes away any responsibility you have to try to secure your shit. And it reinforces this mindset of like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're taking care of me. So who gives a fuck, right? And that's such a scary power dynamic because Visa's just taking 3% of every fucking transaction that you make with your goddamn card. It's like a gold mine to own a credit card company right now. And we all turn a blind eye because they've made it super convenient and go, hey, 2% cash back. That's awesome, dude. You're winning. You're beating us with that 2% back. And 90% of people hear that slogan and go, fuck, I am beating them. That's awesome. All right, yes, sign me up, dude. 2%. Woo! Meanwhile, they're just, there's sticks and asses everywhere. They're fucking everybody. It's terrible, dog.
Off topic a bit, back to the meta key. Someone just sent me last Keymasters would be eligible for a free edition 4 key.
Yeah, I need to buy it.
You have 19 hours left before that snapshot.
All right, 19 hours before the cutoff to get a meta key 4 by being a keymaster.
Yep.
All right. Max, you want to loan me 2? God, no.
I mean, again.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I got to seriously... I'm glad you gave me that timer. I got to seriously think about this. I've been planning this for like a month. All right. I got to make some phone calls. I got to talk to some people. I feel like it's worth it. I wonder what the meta key 4... How many meta key 4s are there going to be? Is it 1.25?
Let's see.
Or 1.5K? Or is it just 1K?
No idea.
I'm not sure either.
Go find their...
I like what MetaKey's doing, though. Anyway. Yeah.
Sorry to completely derail you.
I'm very bullish on DeFi. I think that's the TLDR of my little bank ramble there. It's very well done. Like, I'm going to keep having this conversation over and over. So I hope you all buckle your seatbelts. Like, it is some of the best marketing ever. Like, the centralized banking system in the West, let's say, has pulled the wool over our eyes so much. They have, like, the back end of the banking system is still this like patchwork, papery, like 70s, 80s back end shit that they just never upgraded. And then they built this really shiny app and website front end on top of it. But all that is just sort of like a marketing illusion to distract you from the dumpster fires that they're paying a lot of money to send the fire trucks to go put out as quickly as they happen. Like, people say crypto is a giant Ponzi. What are banks, dog? I don't know. The more you learn about it and the more you read about the way the financial system's set up, the more you kind of go, wow, they don't really have to hold that much in reserve. And we're just like kind of making more of it. There's like a lot of people in the American Congress that genuinely believe America can never go bankrupt because we could just keep printing more money. And that is like such a crazy, scary thought. The bankers hear that and they're like, here we go. Like, I mean, the moral hazard, dude. Moral hazard is this concept when you get rewarded for making the wrong decision, right? Think about a child, right? And that's why we have pain receptors, right? Pain receptors are the like nature's way of preventing moral hazard from completely fucking up our psychology. Kid puts its finger on a hot burner. Fuck, I burned my hand. That's the opposite of moral hazard, right? You get that response of like, all right, that fucking hurt. I'm not going to do that again. You learned something, right? You don't have to be that smart to like deduce that logical flow. You take that out and you don't know like right from wrong anymore, right? It's like the bankers fuck away all this money. Yeah. And then we just bail them out. You must have really
wanted a cookie. Here, have another one.
Yeah, exactly. That like you can't do that. You can't just infinitely be like, that's okay. We believe you guys were trying your best. You fucked us up, but that's all right. Here's $1 billion. You're good, right? Oh, you need $4 billion? All right, here you go. We got the fucking checkbook out. Why not? That's like the definition of moral hazard right there. And I think that's such a basic, when people say it's all about incentives, I think that's kind of what they mean. Like, moral hazard is the worst sort of incentive structure. It incentivizes you to take risk and not really give a shit about the expected value. Because if you win, you win. And if you lose, well, you still win. What kind of a fucking system is that? That's dreamland shit, you know? That just doesn't exist. Anyway. So I think you like politics, Max. I think you're soaking this up like, all right, this is what real politics is about.
Some politics, just, not modern day.
No, I'm with you there. And that's why I've been, I think, so preoccupied with this idea of Axie governance, because it's such an interesting, fresh take on this stuff. And I can't help but wonder if, like, I think there's still some innovating to be done on some of these, quote, classics, you know, like governance and like societal structure and economics. Like, we act like we have it all figured out completely, but maybe there's some innovations that can be done in some of these sectors, you know? And maybe, like, I'm not saying that we're going to figure all of it out through Axie, but maybe we can have a few aha moments, you know? Maybe we can see some things. And, like, I keep thinking about this thing that Vitalik said in a Twitter AMA not that long ago. Somebody said, what's the number one thing that surprised you the most, seeing where Ethereum is now from where you started? And he said how challenging it is to get small groups of people to collaborate on very simple things when the stakes are very high. Basically saying, like, a group of 10 people, he would have thought, like, yeah, we're all pretty aligned in our goals and our principles. We'll be able to agree on stuff. Pure democracy. This is great. And once the whole ship's worth $1 billion, $10 billion, $50 billion, all of a sudden everybody's pretty fucking nitpicky about what's going to happen and who's going to control it and all this kind of shit. And it's just like, fundamentally, governance is hard to scale. You know, like, how do you scale a government and make it do as much stuff as possible, as efficiently as possible, in, like, some sort of generally autonomous system that holds people accountable but is still fair and, like, still listens to minority voices, and, like, somebody's got to control the bag, right? Like, I think we all agree at a basic level, taxes make sense, right? Like, we all want roads. We're going to share the roads. Everybody kick in a nickel. We're going to get a fuckload of nickels. We'll use those nickels to build the road. On a small scale, a community of 100 people, that makes perfect sense. It's super logical. You can basically sell everyone on it, and everybody benefits from the use of the road. But scaling that up to, like, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million people, that's when shit gets really hard, because there's so many people. It's like, nobody's recognizable anymore, and it just feels like the system is so big,
and everyone thinks, well, there's 1 million people, someone else will do it.
Yeah, and nobody. You feel like, hey, if I just, you know, take a little more than I put in, the system will just bear that. And it's this, like, intangible. It's like if you smoke a cigarette and throw that butt out the window, and then it just breaks up and dissipates into the environment. It feels like, yeah, there's no more cigarette butt, but it's like, yeah, all that pollution is still out there. Now there's just no way to pick it up or get it back because it's dispersed and decentralized. So anyway, I think that, like, all that stuff is still pretty inefficient in our modern day, and maybe we can come up with some solutions, man. Maybe there's some, hey, we came up with scholarships, all right? Maybe some of these smarty-arties here in the Axie community can come up with some great innovation with smart contracts and governance as it relates to land gameplay that we can translate to the real world. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but you got to dream big, man. That's
I definitely hope so. I'm excited for a lot of Axie stuff. I'm really excited for staking and the DEX. Those will be massive.
Yeah. Me too. It feels like
And
that's a core set
hopefully
of
soon.
services that have been missing from the Axie universe. You know? So I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Yeah, I'm excited. I've said this a couple times, but as you know, right, it's been a while since we've launched something big, and we've been working on a lot of really exciting shit for a while that's been pretty close, and it's exciting to see all these things be, like, right there at the finish line and get ready for deployment. I can't say it enough how much the truly exponential growth that we experienced over that, like, 2-month period to go from 50K DAUs to 1.5 million DAUs, that, like, seriously broke our shit. You know, like, our infrastructure was just not ready for that.
Wrecked everything.
And we had to reshuffle the roadmap a lot, like, assuming the sort of linear, like, kind of bumpy growth with some small growth spurts we were having. The tech roadmap for upgrades made perfect sense, and we thought we'd have all this other stuff rolled out, and then we'd be able to do upgrades later. We've spent the last 2 months putting a lot of resources into scaling and like refactoring and getting things ready for another exponential growth spurt. We want to make sure we can handle it before we like open up the floodgates again. So
if not, it'll just be a waste because it'll start and then things will crash and then people will go.
And that stuff
do
is
other
like,
things.
it's not sexy to publicize, and it's hard to publicize because like we can't really share a lot of details because it's like, you know, you don't want people to know details about security and upgrading and like, I don't know. You want to keep a lot of that stuff close to the vest. But the summary from hopefully a guy you can trust, old Zyori here, the server upgrades are going great and things are looking to be slightly ahead of schedule. So it's all very promising. It's all very exciting. There's a lot of stuff coming, Max. I'm so pumped up.
Me too. I just read in chat, Zyori, breathe if staking is in 2 to 3 days.
I like that. I like that a lot. Max, anything else you wanted to chat about or get off your chest here?
Not that I can think of.
Anything else grinding your gears? What's really pissing you off? Who's who do you wake up and see on Twitter and go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, dude"? There's got to be somebody.
Assuming I look at Twitter ever.
Well, you know,
I wake up, oh, for fuck's sake, Twitter's still a thing. No, what really drives me up a wall is the people that'll put like 200 or 300K into Axie and not know at all how to secure their stuff. There was someone a while back, they bought a Mystic Land and a bunch of one-of-ones. Or not one-of-ones, item number ones.
Whoa.
And they bought the Mystic for 25. They meant to list it for 27 and listed it for 2.7. They then complained in Discord about it, and a fake support member messaged them saying, "Give us your seed and we'll get your land back." They then proceeded to give the seed, even though I repeatedly said, "Fake support will contact you. Do not give anyone your seed ever."
Yeah, I hate how easy it is for spoofers on Discord to look pretty good. They somehow, I saw a spoof account that like looked like it had spoofed my roles in the profile. I don't know how they do that, but it does look pretty convincing.
They're getting more and more advanced.
It looks like you can drop code like into the description box and then use it to create the symbols, because I think it's probably one of those clever hacks where Discord just uses the default set of symbols in their stuff because that makes sense and is transferable. So, but that means you could probably use like HTML or ASCII hacks or something to like get the characters to show up, and then it looks like, oh, this is Zyori the moderator. The one thing people can't spoof, again, I like spread the word, everybody. The thing they can't spoof are the connections. When you look at my profile and it says like Zyori is like Twitter and ZyoriTV Twitch, those aren't just like listed there. Those are connected to my Twitter and Twitch. So the only way to have those on my profile is to have the password and like the login credentials to my Twitter and my Twitch account. Obviously, people don't have, like, if all my shit was breached, we'd have a lot of issues, right? So like that's one thing people still 100% cannot spoof on Discord, but everything else looks very convincing. And if you don't know, like side by side, it looks convincing, but if you don't know what to look for, it's kind of like if somebody shows you a fake cop badge in a vacuum, it's like, well, I don't really know what a cop's badge looks like. You know, I know it's got some numbers on it and it's got some insignia of some bird or some shit, but I don't really know. Like, if you just showed one to me and were like really convincing and had on a uniform, what am I going to take a picture of it and be like, all right, I got your number, bitch? Like, yeah. So anyway, I feel like it's a similar psychological thing where if you don't know what you're looking at, it looks very convincing.
And so the basic is know that no one will ever ask you for your seed phrase unless they're trying to scam you.
It's just like the old Valve thing. You know, like anybody from Valve, if there is not asking for your password. So that's like the ultimate red flag. If someone's asking for your password, they're not from the support team. If they're asking for your seed phrase, they're not from the support team. The support team has no reason to ever need your seed phrase for anything. The only reason somebody would ever need that is to steal your shit. So,
yep, never give it to anyone.
Don't give it out. Don't show. Yeah, don't.
I think a lot of people are used to, well, if I give someone my bank password and they steal stuff, my bank will just refund me.
Yes, I've
This
gotten
is the blockchain. You will not get refunded. It is gone.
I've gotten emails of people saying they're like, "Can you just reset it for me?" And those are the most painful ones. Like, damn it.
I had one of those yesterday, and
it's like they think that part where like if you set up a new wallet on MetaMask or anywhere, you have to re-enter the seed phrase, and they're like scrambled. So that's one of the little tokens that sort of shows like, okay, you had to have written this down somewhere else, or you memorized it really fast. So that's like, it accepts that to set up a new wallet, but it seems like people almost confuse that with like a CAPTCHA. Like they just jot it down in Notepad and then go, all right, cool, I got through the CAPTCHA, and then that's it or whatever. And they don't actually read the instructions. You gotta really read the instructions carefully. And what sucks is I know most people listening to this know this already. It's a question of how do you reach all those new users? It's a big question.
And specifically the ones that just think they'll be fine and don't want to learn about it.
Yeah.
The ones that want to learn, they'll be able to find so many resources out there.
Yeah. No,
but how do you teach the ones that don't?
Yeah, I don't know. That is one of the hardest parts, I think. And it's always, I've had a couple conversations with high-level people. I spend a lot of time just kind of explaining and selling people on the concept of Axie, right? Because it's still so new. Even like high-level people, they still need they have some blind spots that you got to fill in. And sometimes the conversations get to that weird point of like, somebody that has a lot of money will make that mistake and be like, well, I sent the SLP to the wrong address. The user experience here is really shitty. And I have to be polite, but in my head, I think like, well, yeah, dog, you got to pay attention. You can't just like willy-nilly start pasting shit and be like, oh, it didn't work. Like, yeah, it's because you just sent that to a burn address, man. Well, how do I get it back? Yeah, you don't. And the fact that you asked me that illustrates that you need to go back to some like real basic steps. You're spending way too much money on this shit to have not done like the 101 course that takes 15 minutes of YouTube videos. Those moments are a little hard where they sort of like criticize Axie for that you got to figure out a solution because people can't just be losing their stuff like that. It's like,
and I mean, when you're transferring Axies, the name of the person will pop up. When I'm doing my SLP payouts, I will not pay out the scholar unless they have a matching marketplace account.
Right.
It is the only way to check for typos. And even that's not perfect.
Yeah.
But it's the closest we have to, did you give me the wrong address?
We do the double paste. That's our like unspoken system around the office. And we just like every transaction, like send me the wallet, send me the wallet, send me the wallet. Like we're very, very paranoid. Like one of my longtime subscribers got by that malware that it's like invisible, but it changes your copy paste anytime you put something that looks like it could be an address on the clipboard. So, that's the one that scares me the most. Like you always double check, like the one that you started with is the one that you pasted is the one that matches your wallet. And you always double check all three and make sure there's no fuckery. Like, you don't read the whole string. You read like first and last four is usually what I do. But, that's the kind of stuff. Like if somebody pastes me an address on Discord, I'll usually paste it and then paste it back and then make sure it's like, okay, these are exactly the same. I didn't like miss a character or do something really stupid. I think you need to build those little, like, I think normal people would call that paranoid, and I call that just like part of my crypto workflow. It's like when
something that after people screw up once, they'll learn. I made that mistake with buying one of my land pieces.
Yep.
I sent 2.6 ETH to the wrong address.
I almost lost my passport in Ukraine one time, and after that, I had this moment of like, okay, no matter what happens and where I am, my workflow needs to be secure objects, then get blackout drunk, or anytime you move locations, you double check and secure objects. And it's usually like phone, wallet, passport. And you have a specific spot for each one. And you get up to leave and you go, okay, code on, phone, wallet, passport, got him. Let's get the fuck out of here. And like, you just make that your habit. You get in a taxi, phone, wallet, passport. Yep, got him. You get out of the taxi, phone, wallet, passport, got him. And it's like, people will make fun of you and say you're paranoid, but when those motherfuckers lose their wallet or their passport or get their shit stolen, you're going to be the one with the cell phone that calls the people to get them their fucking money back. So like, I think that's, when I say personal accountability, I don't mean like some libertarian, like you should have your own well. I mean, maybe you should. I just mean like build some of personal accountability into your everyday workflow, you know? That's
yes.
And then once it becomes habit, you don't even think about it anymore, and you just naturally go boom, 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 and you get used to like you can feel it. Like my wallet's here, I can feel it. You don't have to think about it. It's just it's like a muscle memory thing. Automate that.
Every
shit.
time I go everywhere, I basically just smack both of my pockets because I know my phone and keys will always be in the right pocket. My wallet will always be in the left pocket.
Yep.
If it's not there, something's wrong.
Yeah. In my brain, I go, okay, I do that for my digital stuff. I do that for my physical stuff. I should do that for my digital stuff. And that, you know, I think that just kind of makes perfect sense.
And the only option I can think of that might help with education is something like what Binance does before you can do leverage trading. They make you do a little quiz about what it is,
like
but it drives a lot of people nuts.
Well, I get it.
And
for like
there's a massive
users,
language barrier, so they'd have to have it in every single language.
That is a fundamental issue. Yeah, that is that is one of the hard parts, no doubt. All right, well, that's good. That's some good advice to leave this thing on. I like that.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive, dude. Overall, are you happy right now? Are you bullish about Axie? Do you believe any of the FUD?
No.
Is there any FUD getting to you right now?
They just don't know what they're talking about.
Wow. Big words. Big words from a little man.
Well, I don't need to go starting stuff, but I watched one of the videos and I was like, what, this evidence with air quotes is not even valid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I like, you know, sometimes tweeting ominous stuff can be obnoxious, but sometimes it's useful. And that was a moment where all I could think was just, seriously, dude, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. It's like call-outs are fine and good and healthy and a necessity of any social ecosystem, but you got to think of them as like a precious resource. And you got to, it's like, think about football for the North Americans out there, right? You can only challenge so many plays. And if they disagree with your challenge, they take one of your timeouts because they don't want to spend the whole game with the coach being like, oh, wait a second. You know, that you have to like wager something to be able to do it. What you're doing here when you call something out or make a really big claim or throw out things like manipulation or these like words that have like legal definitions and would qualify as slander at the very least or defamation, you got to really back that shit up. Like you got to be able to think about it like a journalist would and think like, I'm my own publisher. When people dig deep, like, what are my notes? Do I have a real paper trail? Do I have actual evidence? When I say evidence, what do I mean by evidence, you know? Or do I just have a suspicion and some things that are all circumstantial, right? I'm not saying this is like a court of law, but you want to think about what these words actually mean. And if everything you have is circumstantial, then yeah, cool story. You'll get some YouTube clicks. But what you're staking is your reputation, okay? And a lot of people judge in silence. Just because like you didn't get the tweet from Max saying this video sucks and this is really stupid, that doesn't mean that Max isn't thinking that, right? And I think that's something that people forget about sometimes. Like a lot of that judgment and loss of reputation, it happens invisibly, right? It doesn't happen to your face. People don't walk up to you and go, I don't respect you anymore. That doesn't happen that often. They just stop listening to you and unfollow you and tune out, and then that's it. It's just over. And you're socially muted from that regard. So anyway, I digress. Sorry.
But I agree.
I'm heated today, Max. I had a lot I had to get out there.
I completely agree, though.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you're riding the bull. I am as well, and yeah, I couldn't be more excited for Axie's future in the short term, midterm, and long term. Man, I feel I don't
Mm-hmm.
like to use the word blessed because I'm an a-religious kind of person, but I feel like it even feels disingenuous to say I feel lucky or fortuitous because it feels like a culmination of paying attention to a lot of different things and like working in esports and being open to blockchain and crypto. And it's like I feel like I'm on a journey, Max, and I'm like
Mm-hmm.
really on the right path. And I do feel fortunate to have found it kind of at the right time. And it's just sick, like Axie's making my dreams come true, dude. It's so
Me
fucking
too. I mean,
lame and gushy to say it, but it's like so true.
my career is starting because of Axie. I just dropped out of college actually back in July because
Dude, dude. I honestly, I think it was the right call. I don't know that much
I
about you or
do
where you are
too.
at, but like university's pretty fucked. I'm glad I got my degree when I did. I just did it straight through 4 years, one and done. I don't regret it, but I don't think uni's a great value prop, and I think you make enough stuff that just making stuff is more valuable. I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
well done, dude. That's a scary and bold.
Mm-hmm.
That's a yeah. That takes some brass to do that. That ain't for the faint of heart. So good on you. I hope it's working out well.
It has so far, yes. My breeding script is doing well, which helps.
Well, that's good.
And I'm looking forward to the second version of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to scholarships being more automated and having more of that built into the game client. Like set minimums and like an official, safe, like endorsed path for scholarships where we can very easily say like, hey, anybody that doesn't want to use this system, that's a big red flag, and you probably shouldn't trust them to be your manager. I'm very much
Or
looking forward to
even
that day.
just instead of the normal scholarship, just putting a loan market out there where you put up the axes, you choose what percent, and the scholars can go
Mm,
choose the axes they want.
there you go. That's also a cool like marketplace type solution. That's very interesting. But yeah, there's a lot to come. The number that I've heard
Hmm.
recently, we're in like single percentages of the Axie universe, dude. We're like 8% of the way there of what the universe could look like in the short term. And then beyond that, like, goddamn, man, with the SDK and stuff, the ceiling on this thing is high. We
The
got a lot of
SDK will
space.
be a game changer.
Yeah. I love that there's a long term scaling solution too of like the Axie universe and what you could potentially do with your Axies. I love this idea of, yeah, sure, Sky Mavis is making Axie games in this genre, but maybe there's some other studio or some community led group that's like, yo, Axie first person shooter, Axie MMO, you know,
God,
like
little axes running around with
Axie MOBA,
carrot guns.
Axie hack and slash, dude. I've been playing some Diablo 2 recently. Give me the Axie hack and slash. Give me some of that fast paced gameplay. All of that's possible. Like
Hmm.
there can be small mini games like Warcraft 3 custom game style, but in theory, especially once Axie's in DAO status, we can open up this thing to a lot of different styles, a lot of different genres, and like the different verticals you could have for your Axies. They could all have different prowess in different games, right? Like who says Silence
Hmm.
Whisper like isn't going to be overpowered as hell in the Axie first person shooter that's like an Overwatch type clone. It's one of those shoot 'em up games. And Silence Whisper is your mercy type spell that's healing everybody. And healers are fucking busted because that's how it goes in Team Fortress 2. All of a sudden, all these Axies with healing kits, like the Strawberry Silence Whisper combo that was so useless for so long, becomes meta in one of the biggest Axie games in the Axie universe, right? What if Axie
Yeah.
Esports was this whole multi-genre affair, The Axie fighting game. You ready for that, dude?
I like tower defense. I like that idea a lot.
I'm so ready. I'm so ready. There's so many ideas out there. We just got to get to building. That's what it all comes back to. Still a lot of
Hmm.
building to be done.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, Max, hit us with a sellout. You got some like YouTube or something? When are you going to start Twitch streaming?
Now, I have a Twitter. That's about it.
I'm on the Twitter. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You're not on the Instagram or
No,
okay.
I deleted Instagram. I deleted Facebook.
Wow. Let
I
me guess.
actually
You don't have
deleted
a
those when
TV either.
Axie. I do, but it's broken. The movers broke it.
Ah.
Uh, no, I actually deleted my Instagram and Facebook after Axie 1 million happened. I honestly had people sending me death threats.
Oh my. Well, that doesn't make me happy, but it cracks me up that wasn't. You were just like, all right, I'm done. Eject your seat. Because I've been there. I've had moments where people are like all over my shit, and it's a little intense, but it's not for everyone. That's for sure. One of my new best friends, one of my Icelandic friends, he's very much a like behind the camera type. You know, he doesn't like being on camera, but he's a very talented photographer and very thoughtful, kind of creative mind. And I totally get it. Like I've had a couple conversations with him where he's like, it's really cool what you do, but when I look at your Twitter, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, like I would lose so much sleep
agree.
over like saying the wrong thing or people saying mean stuff. Like I showed him my feed when like, you know, it's moving and it's just it's crazy. You know, I get more engagement in 10 minutes than he might get in an entire month. And I can see the look on his face. It's like, I don't even know if that's desirable. I don't think I would like that. And I totally get it. So I hear you.
Yeah, I keep my Twitter very much to just informational. I post updates to things like when I got the SLP from PvP stuff after the most recent update. That one was fun to do.
So, but your Twitter is Maxbrand99, just like your Twitch. So people know where to
Just
find
like
you.
my Twitch, just like my Discord.
There you go. I'm sure there's some imposters out there, but yeah, you know where to find him.
Actually, my first big intro to the Axie community, Weiss did 100. I think it was Weiss did 100 AXS giveaway,
It was probably him. He did something similar for me.
and an imposter Max claimed it.
Oh my god, really?
And of course he's a good dude. He sent me the 100 AXS anyway, which
Wow.
is like 7K now.
Wow, what a guy. Yeah. You know, you gotta link up those accounts so that I know who the real Max is.
My Discord is linked to my Twitter, I believe, and my Twitch.
Oh, is it?
Should be. Yeah,
I
Twitter
see.
and Twitch. And I have a link to my OpenSea on it.
Why don't I see it on mine? Huh, that's weird. I can see the mutual friends though. That's also a big part of it. But yeah, it's always a pleasure, Max. I'm glad that we have some people like you that are sort of like I was alluding to with my friend that likes being behind camera. We need people like him. Like people see what I do, and it's less of a thing here, but like when I was a Dota commentator, I would get a lot of comments from people that would say, I want your job. You have the dream job. I want to be on camera too. I want to be a pro player. I want to be a commentator. It's like you see the coolest part of being a commentator when I'm on camera, living the dream, hyping up a game. But to get there requires a lot of dirty, political, shitty, catty, hyper competitive work that is really unbecoming. Like the entertainment industry is brutal. And the social aspect is really hard. And it's a really lonely life and a really unstable life. It's like most people that say that, they just want the 10% best parts of the job. So
yeah, I spend 18-hour days sometimes doing Axie stuff.
Doing boring data shit that most people would glaze over trying to do, and you get some sort of sick enjoyment out of it. And I think that's fucking awesome. And that's why we need minds like you. We need the data nerds. We need people that can dig in and go deep. Like we often talk about how it's awesome that blockchain and cryptocurrency it doesn't have black boxes, right? It's all these gray boxes. Everything's like semi-transparent. You can look at people's code. But how many users actually do that, right? How many users actually audit the contract of some exchange they put money onto and go, yep, this one's safe. They just follow the masses and kind of assume like, hey, there's $1 billion on there. It's probably pretty safe. I don't know. And we kind of rely on a handful of really smart people to hold a bunch of other really smart people that are slightly more nefarious accountable. So people like yourself, I think, are very important in this space. And we're glad to have you on Team Axie. And I appreciate you chat. Can you believe we just talked for an hour and a half about Axie shit? And to think you were nervous 2 hours ago, man. To think about it. Come on. Get out of here. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I do really appreciate it.
Glad to be here and glad to be part of Axie. It's been a great ride and it'll get crazy, even crazier.
Yes, that is
and I'm
for
looking
sure.
forward to it.
The stakes are rising. And, I had one final thought to leave you guys thinking, Mystics and Origins and these collectors' Axies, I do think they're still a little undervalued. And the reason why is because a lot of the big whaley collectors that are really big on these other NFT projects, they're a little turned off by Ronin. I've got a couple friends that they believe in Axie and the value prop and they're sold conceptually, but when the act comes of all right, now you got to bridge over 30 ETH to this side chain to buy this Mystic, there's a lot of Ethereum purists out there that still have this sidechain fear, and it's going to take some time. Ronin needs to be a lot more established to convince some of those big players to come over.
And also, it's a proof of authority chain,
yes,
which changes things.
Yes, 100%. And some people are not okay with that, and that I understand. But some of those people are going to start to trickle over, and I think that's my reasoning when I say why are Mystics and Origins undervalued. That's it right there. When I say undervalued relative to other NFT collections that are way less scarce, way less cool, will have way less future utility than Mystics do. So that, it's all relative. You could argue they're appropriately valued for the Axie market, but there's a lot of crypto money that hasn't migrated to Ronin yet, and I think some of those folks will be sold in the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months. And when we see them come over, that's when someone's just going to sweep that Mystic floor, and we're going to be like, oh shit, the Mystic floor is now 50. This is getting crazy. I actually think that's going to happen, I say a year or less. That's my really safe estimate.
Yeah.
So I guess you agree with that
yes,
thesis?
Yes, I do agree.
Yeah, okay. So anyhow, I wanted to clarify that. And, I always like to justify my thoughts a little bit because people accuse me of just spewing hype. It's no, I got no insider information there. I just think in general, what do you say? The CyberKong's Genesis floor is 100 ETH. Mystic Axies are 30 ETH. How many Genesis Kongs are there? I don't know. That's a genuine question, but yeah. So still I think there's a gap there if you crunch the numbers, right? A lot of other projects you can kind of do that general arithmetic.
There's 1,070 Mystic ones.
Okay. So yeah, that's hell of a gap, bud.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching another Axie Tuesday. We'll get this on YouTube. And we'll be here next week. We'll figure out who we're going to interview, I'm sure, the day before, because that's how we do it. But always a pleasure.